open-minded to how we do that, to be able to stop Brexit and create the positive Liberal alternative for our country.
I mean, there is a test of this coming up soon, the by-election in Brecon and Radnorshire. I mean, is that the kind of place where you think actually there is an argument there should be one pro-Remain candidate?
Well, we do have, of course, Jane Dodds is the Liberal Democrat candidate. She has been a campaigner in that area. She is absolutely amazing and will be a first-class MP. And it's a seat where, as Liberal Democrats, we hold it in the Welsh Assembly. We have held it in the past for many years.
So would you be talking to other parties to say, actually, you know what, don't stand?
For example, the Greens have just decided that they won't stand in that by-election. And you know, I think parties can look at the results in a seat like that and come to that conclusion. But a different example would be the Peterborough by-election, where we were very involved in conversations with the Green Party and Change UK to try to field a joint People's Vote candidate. Now, at the last minute, it fell through, but actually those conversations got very far advanced. We had them at the political level when I was speaking with Caroline Lucas and Chuka when he was in Change UK, but also at that practical staff level. So I absolutely think we need to be open-minded about working with others, because this is about putting the national interest first.
And I wonder how far you would go if you are elected leader of the Lib Dems when it comes to working with others at a national level. If there is an election, which many think is going to happen by the end of the year, potentially, the Lib Dems could do quite well. You could be kingmakers. Would you be happy to do deals with the Labour Party, with the Conservative Party? Well,
first of all, Sophie, I would just say we could be better than kingmakers. I mean, there was a poll out yesterday that said that we could actually, in one scenario, win that election with 30% of the vote.
Genuinely, you think there's a chance that you could be in number 10 if you lead the Lib Dems?
Yes. I think our politics is volatile at the moment. I think predictions are a bit of a mugs game in politics because so many things...
How many seats do you have now?
We have 12 MPs at the moment.
And you think you could win the next election?
I do not put any limit on our ambitions for the Liberal Democrats, because our country needs a Liberal alternative. You know, I mean, I watched that Boris Johnson...
Do you actually have 13 with Chuka now?
Sorry?
Does Chuka Amina make it 13?
He made it 12.
Made it 12, there you go.
I watched Boris Johnson, your interview with him earlier. I mean, this is the man who is likely to be our next Prime Minister. And he bumbled and blustered his way through that interview. Yeah, it was absolutely clear that the only thing that was important to him was the interests of the Conservative Party, the way it was all about his party. And you know, Boris actually doesn't really care about anything but himself. You know, he didn't care about Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe. He said he felt anguish, showed no evidence of it whatsoever, and the way in which he hadn't even bothered to read his brief when he was appearing in front of a select committee. And you had that woman languishing in an Iranian jail, separated from her young daughter. I mean, he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about our economy. You know, he said F business. Well, I mean, at least it's honest, because his plans for Brexit will F business.
He says that that's taken out of context and that actually he has been a champion of business in a way that others haven't.
But he's not championing business in what he's proposing for Brexit, because he's sitting there basically merrily spinning absolute fantasy, suggesting there's going to be some kind of renegotiation, and you absolutely rightly put the points to him about what EU leaders are saying.
OK.
And there's no detail from him. He does not deserve to be Prime Minister.
I'm keen to move on from Boris Johnson. Why do you think the Lib Dems have been so bad at selecting and electing women?
Well, we are getting better at it. We now have, you know, a third of our parliamentary party are women, and it's an issue that I've been working on in the party for the best part of 20 years. Now, we're making progress, but there is so much more that needs to be done, and, you know, it's a problem in the Lib Dems, and it's a problem across the rest of society. You know, I've literally written a book about gender equality, so there's a whole range of different barriers and challenges that are there, and I think we rightly adopted all-women shortlists in 2016, and that did start to improve the situation for us from the 2017 election. But I mean, it's not job done.
To have a female leader now?
Well, I think I'm the best person to lead the party, regardless of my gender. But do I think it's important to have women in senior roles in public life? Do I think that that makes a difference to young girls when they look around them? Yeah, absolutely. And I disagree hugely with the politics of Theresa May and Nicola Sturgeon. But do I think it is positive for girls growing up to see that women can run governments and can run the country? Yeah, absolutely, that's important.
Stella Creasy has recently spoken out about feeling like she's been forced to choose between being a mum and being an MP. You, of course, made news when you became the first MP to take your baby into the House of Commons chamber. Do you think the House of Commons is a good place to be a parent?
it needs to be a better place to be a parent than it is right now. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot that needs to change, and we have started to make those changes. And it's tiring how exhausting it is to get some basic changes like the proxy voting, which came in February. But I mean, that took, you know, me being cheated out of my vote when I was at home with my 2-week-old baby last summer. It took Tulip Sadiq having to delay her C-section before the House of Commons eventually recognised we need proxy voting. Stella's now taking up the cudgels, campaigning for better plans for maternity cover for MPs, and I wholeheartedly support her in that, because we do need to make it better for both men and women who are parents, because it's important our democracy is representative.
Now, Sophie Ridge on Sunday has heard that your campaigners mailed out literature to people who actually opted out of being sent party political literature through the post. Now, people may have a very good reason to not want people that they live with to know that they are Lib Dem supporters. They may just not want to be spammed. Why did you do that? Well,
first of all, let's be clear, these are Liberal Democrat members, but it is very important to treat data seriously. There was a genuine mistake that was pretty minor and technical. It resulted in a tiny proportion of people being contacted who'd asked not to, and we've apologised for it. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of the matter.
Are you sorry for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we made a mistake, we've said sorry.
And then just finally, you've been talking before about people working with other parties. Are you having conversations with other MPs that you think might defect the Lib Dems?
I do have conversations. They're private conversations. I know you'd love me to tell you about the content of them, and I can understand why. But I think that in order for people to be able to talk frankly about what is a difficult step if somebody's thinking about joining a new political party, then those need to be able to be kept private.
Without mentioning any names, do you think there may be more defections?
I'm hopeful that there will be. And let's remember why. You know, you've got a Labour Party going off to the left that is failing to deal with anti-Semitism in its party and is absolutely failing to give any kind of position on Brexit, the biggest issue of the day. And
I mean, they would dispute both of those allegations.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they would, but I mean, if you speak to people in the Labour Party about their experiences, I mean, they are frustrated. You know, people who have long supported that party are looking on in dismay, and that's why so many of them are joining the Liberal Democrats. Lots of Labour members, activists have done so, and Chuka Umunna, of course, who was a Labour MP, has joined the Lib Dems and been warmly welcomed by Lib Dem members. So for people that are feeling that they do not have a home in the party that they once joined, but they share our values, I just say really clearly, join us, you'll be welcome.
OK, Jo Swinson, thank you very much.